Today, I'm going to continue my coverage of GameFix, the Forum of Ideas. This is issue number 3, December 1994, and I'll put a link to my previous coverage or ramblings on GameFix, which include issues 1 and 2. I'm doing these in order. Imagine that. And GameFix was a magazine, war game magazine, published in 94. I don't know if they went much beyond that. I think all the stuff that I have acquired through like a clearance or bargain sale at Noble Knight was all 94, I believe. But you can correct me as I go through these. This was a wargame magazine that was published by Game Publications Group, Inc. Each issue of the magazine had some articles, as you would expect in a wargame magazine, and had a complete game inside, complete game included. There you go. It says there right on the cover. This game was Chicken of the Sea, naval warfare during the Punic War. So, interesting topic here. And these games were what you might expect from a wargame magazine. Wargame magazine games tend to be not as fleshed out or not as complete or not as much chrome as you might find in a boxed war game, and not always the case. I mean, that's not a true stereotype in every respect, but for the most part, right? These war games, at least the ones that I've covered so far, tend to be kind of a step below what you would think of your typical war game magazine. The maps are much smaller. In some instances, they're just the half a page, or a half or just one page, I should say. The map in the last issue was 2 pages. But not as large or elaborate as you would expect in the decision games offerings from Strategy and Tactics, and now defunct Modern War and World at War and all that. So the maps in here are much are less or reduced. The counter density is less or reduced. The rules are, I don't know. The rules appear to be a little bit less complex than what you'd find in a magazine game. But magazine games, sometimes the complexity of the rules in a war game magazine are not because the game are necessarily complex. Is that sometimes they're not play tested as much or reviewed as much or second-eyed as much, because there's a deadline and trying to get it out. And so you don't have the luxury of, having maybe a year or 2 or 3 or sometimes even more years of development of a boxed war game. You have a much shorter time frame, and so sometimes you miss some stuff. But enough of all that stuff. Let's get into this bag here. And I don't think these necessarily came as a bag. This was a subscription, or you could get a subscription to these, to the GameFix magazine. I got these in bags when I got them from Noble Knight. So let's do a little bit of a page through here. There's your cover. This is a Richard Berg game, the now departed Richard Berg, but a very, very prolific game designer of numerous games, numerous topics, innovator, opinionated, and definitely an icon in the war game industry. Here's the opening page. Now, Rebel, I think this is another game from Game Publications Group. I don't know much about this, and I don't know other than this game and the games that were in their GameFix magazines. I don't know what are the games necessarily that Game Publications Group published or were known for. But if any of you know that, please feel free to drop those in the comments. The publisher, again, was Game Publications Group. The editor was John Compton. And then, as with any game magazine or war game magazine, you're going to have your standard features or pieces, and then, of course, you're going to have the game itself. It looks like they have an article here that probably ties to the game, and that's a common feature in wargame magazines, is to have a feature article talking about the topic at hand, and then that is going to be covered by the game included. So there you have it. So we have the editorial here, things to come. And this is interesting. This is a little bit more involved than some of the first couple of issues. It looks like they might be going into a little bit more discussion on what's upcoming. You know, I think I have this Winceby here, Rob Markham, who's done quite a few games in the, I think, 80s and 90s. I think I have that Winceby. I need to go check my file. I thought the game fixes that I picked up recently were the ones I had covered, but now I have a homework to do. Here's the counter sheet. We'll take a look at that in a second. Here's battle briefs, and these are, you know, historical articles, or articles, you know, that are a little, you know, on a topic maybe different than what is at hand. Then we get into the topic at hand. This is by Meg Thompson, Chicken of the Sea, Foul Auspices. And we're talking about some of the triremes and the quiniquiremes. I know I butchered that, but I know you will correct me. Stigler, where are you? Here's the Battle of Agnomus. That is, I think, the battle that is the subject of Chicken of the Sea, and that is it's Drepanum is the battle. Okay, Economics was another big naval battle. There's a couple of, I think these are the two major ones, and it could be, and I stand to be corrected there, but the two of the bigger battles of the Punic Wars. So the one thing that I'm seeing consistent of their Game Fix games, they're stapled in the middle. Not a big fan of that, but you know, that was the way wargame magazines did it back then. But the thing that they do differently is they have the rules, you know, basically here, and then you have this section off to the side, which is annotation. So if they're going to talk about like the game pieces, well, here's the units and examples and some historical notes. So they're going to have a little bit of an annotation where you might have an image, or you might have an explanation, or you might have an example even, or some historical notes that talk about what's going on in the rules. I kind of like that. I mean, that's something that a lot of Euro games do or did. So you kind of had the rules, and then you had kind of a simplified version of what was going on. This annotation is kind of, I like it. So your mileage may vary. Here, more rules here, and here's some terms that you need to know in the annotations. Here's movement, more rules, more annotations, and here is battle. Yeah, so that's interesting. I wonder what that is for, because this is supposed to be naval warfare, and we have some land here, so I'll have to look up and see what that is for. But here's your naval map, and as I said, I mean, these maps that's your map. So 2 magazine pages of map, and if you're used to other wargame magazines, there's usually a huge fold out, and you get like a standard map that you might get in a box game, right? A paper map, and here you have it as just like 2 pages. Now the paper is a little bit thicker. It might be the paper for the magazine is a little bit thicker than normal magazine. At least that's kind of my take on it. But still, maybe not as thick as what you would get with a full fold-out map. But I haven't got my gauges out to measure the appropriate thickness. But there's the map you have. So I don't know what this is. So you got B and A. Huh. I need to look that up. I wonder if there's like a land battle that's tied to this as well once you get on land. It looks like there's some water right here on that edge. So more rules, more annotations. Here's an example. More rules. Here's another example. And more rules and another example here. So as rules go, I mean, they're probably as, you know, detailed or complex or thorough as you would see in a lot of magazine games. So I mean, these aren't just a couple pages of rules, and then they have this annotations that go along with it. And then I think we're final with the rules, and then there's Richard H. Berg as the designer. Then we have an article, The Zen of Wargaming. It's kind of interesting there. Have to read up on that. And some clarifications in errata. So we already have errata. This is issue number 3, and we got to go to the errata for issues 1 and 2. Here's the Armchair Gamer. This is a standard feature in these magazines. In this magazine. And so it's covering kind of different stuff here. Interesting, talking about counters and how information is displayed on them, it looks like. I might read that. And then you have, this is kind of the motto or the mission statement for Game Fix. It was topical, political, professional, and thought-provoking and fun. That was their motto. And then you had article for a war game, computer war game, and then sometimes Noble Knight would throw in these backing sheets to kind of make sure that the stuff's not folded too much. So there you have it. We didn't look at the counters that go with the game. Here are the counters. I mean, it's a naval game, so not a lot to look at on the counters. Some triremes, quiriremes. Golly. Where's my coffee when I need it? And some markers, like administrative markers, like speed. So the different speed that goes with it, or crippled. Here's a ground. It's interesting. You have some leaders here too. So some of the admirals captured is on the back of some of these. So you flip it over if it's captured. So there's probably going to be a grappling and boarding type situation. I didn't look at the rules. I wonder if there's raking. That was a common feature of with the road ships, is raking the oars. There you have it. So and these are decent thickness. I mean, it's what you would expect from a magazine game. I expect these to be pretty nibby. If when you punch them out, that they're probably going to be crying to be clipped. But there you have it. That is what you get in a magazine of Game Fix, issue number 3, December 1994, which includes the game Chicken of the Sea, Naval Warfare During the Punic Wars, by the man himself, Richard Berg. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. And the best way I know you stopped by is leave me a comment. Tell me about this game, Chicken of the Sea, if you played it or if you know anything about it, or Game Fix, or any of the other games that came with Game Fix, or the history of Game Fix. I'm up to it. I'd love to hear about it. Anyway, that's what I have for you today, and have a good one. Thanks for watching.